You're not hearing anything yet, are you? There's no audio. Okay.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's right. You did tell me.
Ready when you are. Yes.
We have a recording. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's on.
Mr. Dahl will be taking the records. Okay,
Yes.
good morning. I'll ask that we take discussions out of the room while we do this meeting.
Unless you're on the committee.
Well, he's on the committee.
No.
I think.
So anyhow, it was good.
Picking you off the boat. Yeah.
True. Okay. Good morning. My name is Chris Caius, and I am chairman of the Grand Victoria Riverboat Fund Dispersal Committee. I'm calling this meeting to order on Wednesday, May 3rd, already May 3rd at 11:14. Can we have roll call, please? Or yes, and Mr. Dahl, you're online,
Yes,
and roll call, please.
sure. Caius,
Guys present.
Berman,
Here.
Ford,
Board president.
Leonard,
Leonard here.
Strathman.
Strathman here.
Okay, then, and Scott Berman is online as well. Can you just do a little lead in for us, Mr. Berger?
Good morning, Mr. Caius. So yes, I'm here. And the next item on your agenda is approval of minutes from your meeting last July.
Strathman moves.
Okay, hang on just a second here. I guess it's taking me longer than I thought. Strathman and Berman, any comments or questions about the changes? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call, please.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Ford,
Board, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Strathman.
Strathman, yes.
I apologize. Give me just a moment here to pull up my. Oh, my brains. Sorry. Okay, then I guess I'm not going to have much luck here. We're having a moment. Give me just a minute here.
Yes, sir. While you're accessing your information, I can go ahead and give you a bit of an introduction.
That would be great. Thank
Um,
you, Mr. Berger.
Yes. So earlier this year, we did announce that we were accepting applications for funding for external, what we call external projects, organizations, nonprofit organizations, units of local government. And we did receive those applications. Mr. Dahl has reviewed those and given you staff reports with some recommendations regarding their suitability for the program. And you've gone through 2 rounds of recommendations regarding the appropriate amounts of funding that should be recommended for those projects. And yesterday, he did share with you the results of your collective decision-making. So that gives you a good jumping off spot for your discussions today.
All right, and everyone received those. And in summary, very shortly, the second round recommendations were tier 1 or level 1, tier 1, which was 4 or 5 of the members of the committee voted to have or put money in for those requests. And tier 2 was those are 3 members of the committee allotted money to those down at the bottom down there. And the summary of that is that of the tier 1, there was $985,289 allotted to those in the composite of all of our submissions to the tier 1, and $65,439 allotted to tier 2.
Mr. Caius,
Yes, Mr. Dahl,
do you want us to share the screen of that spreadsheet?
would you please do that? Yes.
Okay, Tracy, if you could do that, that'd be great.
Nice to see your faces too, if we could.
I don't know about that.
I can read that your name's on there. That'd be great.
There you go.
A little small. Oh, there you go. First column is,
Mr. Caius, could you pull the microphone just a little bit closer, please?
oh, okay, sorry. Usually I'm spitting into it.
Thank you.
Yeah, an issue we need to work on, obviously. Yeah. And we'll just walk through this. You can see the total requests on the first column. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. There was, and in the, I guess, column O, or that's on mine. What it amounts to is in the column that it reads the 900 and
I think, you know.
I got 909,000. I had 985,000.
Round 1 is 909.
Oh, 909. Okay. Oh, yeah. The yellow column. Okay, there we go. The yellow column says that there's $985,000, which means that we have under allotted about $66,000.
114. 114, yep.
$66,114. And in the down at the bottom down there in tier 2, we have $65,000. If we were to take that total amount, it would be a total of $131,533 less than what was originally allotted to us to distribute. And I guess my question to the committee as the chair was, should we allot as close as we can to 100% of the funds that we were given? And on that, we'll have some discussion. Mr.
Thank you,
Leonard?
Mr. Chairman. You know, I would suggest that in leaving some and not allocating it, it's always a good idea because we never know what the funding is going to be for next year. Historically, having been on this committee this is my 9th year now, I believe, we have historically left money not allocated at 100%. And once again, it's at the pleasure of the committee, but I do recommend that we leave some in there just because from year to year, you never know if the allocation is going to be greater or less.
Thank you. Mr. Berman.
Yes. It seems to me that some of these funds will not be expended. They will not be used. Is that true?
We'll have to answer, Mr. Berger, there are some of these, that if we were to allot this amount, there would some that would not be expended and returned to the fund.
Well, I'd be speculating on that, but
Have,
oftentimes there are applicants that if they don't receive their full funding amount, they don't move forward with their project.
and they have about 2 years to do it.
That's correct.
Well, my suggestion would be that we allocate the entire amount of $1,116,842.
Any other comments on that from committee members?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, my comment would be that agreeing with allocating the rest of the money, but I do understand trying to be concerned about next year. And we would just take a look at those mostly at the is it the second, I don't have my glasses on. I think the second tier.
Yeah, well, I want to just answer this first.
Oh, okay.
Rather than strategy that we're going to take, I want to get some clear ground rules. And one is
I got you. Okay.
whether we will
I'm for allocating the rest of
the
the
entire
money.
amount.
Yes.
And then Ms. Strathman?
Yes, I am also for using the full amount because we don't know how much money we're going to have next year, but we also don't know how many requests. So what we have in hand is how I think we should react.
Okay, and then in my point of view is that the need is now, they've
Right.
applied now, we have it now. It's true, and I understand if we had start from the very beginning and put a certain outside amount, we'd have a pretty good pot of money to deal, if there was a true big emergency. But as it has gone in from past history, I also would suggest that we allot as close to as possible without going over maybe the amount that so that's let's say that that's a base rule, then we're going to try and allot the full 116,842.
Right.
And in order to do that,
Yeah, I'm trying to see.
the second one would, in order to do that, then we will have to agree as a committee here to just redistribute a certain portion of that. I had a couple of options. Option number one being that we actually, in the bottom of the column there of the tier 2, we're giving, you can see the percentages that are available, anything from 13 to 34% of the ask was given to that. First suggestion would be that we well, first of all, actually go back here. If we only give 890, instead of 895,000, we want to distribute the difference between that, which is 66,114. That should go back in somewhere to all of them or some portion of them. If we remove the low amount, which can we, Mr. Berger or Mr. Dahl, do you have an idea of the history if we're giving a really small amount and maybe some perspective on small amounts like the 13 to 34% or?
Yeah, the only feedback I can give you is just the fact that when an applicant asks for a certain amount of funding, we take them at their word. And if the allocation that you provide is significantly lower, then it puts them kind of in a quandary over whether or not they can proceed with their project.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add is we have had instances where people have declined because of low funding. So there is a history of it. It's not a lot, but there is usually, one or two, maybe one or two every year or so that would decline because of low funding.
Okay, and I had Mr. Berman's hand.
Berman here. In today's world, it seems like there's so many people that are going to our food pantries for food, much more than we've ever seen in the past. And I think the demand is there, and I'd like to take those funds and divide them up against our food centers, whether it be the
Okay, well, I'm going to stop you on that one. And then what I'm trying to do is to find out where we're going to get the money and which part we're going to redistribute. I want the committee maybe to consider, first of all, reallocating the difference, the 66,000, that's an automatic because we didn't give as much for the tier ones, but also to remove the tier two recipients from contention because,
Why?
remove it from them so that, because we're giving them a low amount, we give them a really big target. If we consider this a project, we ask them to submit for a project and we're giving them 17%, then the chances of them finishing the project themselves are pretty small. Yes, Mr. Ford.
I think the only issue with that I have is that we should give them a chance to say whether or not this may be a starting point for them to raise the rest of the money. I think, because I did call and ask that question. And from my understanding is they're planning on going from what we give them to raising the funds, the rest of the funds themselves. So unless they tell us that, I would be opposed to that,
Okay.
removing them.
Any other input on that, removing those from the funding and then just redistributing it to the rest of the so I have Mr. Ford that wants to keep the 4 or 5, 6 recipients on the tier 2 in contention for the funds. Can I get a consensus or maybe take a vote on it to either remove or keep these in there? So, or the first comments before I ask? Yeah, Mr. Berman.
I have a comment. That Fox Valley Special Rec Foundation, isn't that a quasi government agency? They're getting funds from the different communities.
Can you give us some background, Mr. Berger or Mr. Dahl?
Well, I would just say that might be a nonprofit agency, but you are correct. It does support a taxing entity.
Mhm.
And any other questions for Matt Strathman?
I would like to also say that I would like to redistribute tier 2 monies up to tier 1.
We'll take all of the tier 2 monies and move them up to
Right.
tier 1.
Yeah.
That way they have a better chance of finishing their project or
Yeah, yeah.
completing what they've done. So
I have no problem with it.
then Mr. Leonard,
Mr. Chairman, I'm not really understanding. Are you saying take away the recommended contribution to the tier 2s?
the
That's
65,439.
65,000, and then also the remaining 66,000, and
Six-
combining those two, give that to tier 1.
Give them to tier 1.
I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I think Mr. Ford brought up a good point about the tier 2 suggestions on their projects. If we take that away, they will get nothing from us. If we give them a little bit more, well, I don't know. I mean, I can't answer that question.
I would, if you would, Mr.
Ford?
Chairman, thank you. According to, if we look at the ratings, there's 1, 2, 3 of the tier 2 that comes in pretty high. If the thought is to take the money away from tier 2, then my second thought would be is to keep those in place that has such a high rating according to the work that been put in by our staff.
So that would be the APS, the
Fox Valley.
United Way, and the
St.
Park
Charles-
District.
St. Charles Park District, yes.
Okay, I'm going to still stay in favor of taking those away. Or if it was me, I'm going to say, did everybody have a comment on that, Mr. Berman?
No, I'd much rather see that.
My
money.
comment would be to move it up to the top part.
Yes.
But I'm going to ask for a majority this time to either,
Could you repeat that again? What ones are, Mr. Ford, what ones were you saying?
The ones that have been highly, according to staff,
if you look at the black dots,
Look at the black dots.
Oh, that, oh, okay, all
Okay, the
right.
ones that have been hiding, from
That meet the
staff,
criteria.
that meets the criteria.
Okay, all right,
I
thank
would
you.
hate to take them totally away because
I do too.
according to staff, they're, which staff has done a lot of work to put this whole part together. Yeah, so that work goes out the window if we take all those away. Was it 6 of them or 7? All 6.
It hurts me to drop any of them, even from the very beginning, except for very few. But I still would stick by taking these and redistributing myself, but I want to have a majority of the committee agree. So one way or the other, the question would be, do we take all of them out? Or do we leave, or not?
Mr. Kais,
It's funny, yes.
before I can answer that, another criteria would be to look at the percentage of their request on the tier 2. And
Sure,
there are
There's-
some that are quite low and
Right.
some that are much higher than,
Right,
within
just-
that tier.
yeah. I want to get past the first question of removing them or not removing them as a group.
Remove as a group.
Remove as a group? Remove as a group?
Yes,
Not remove as a group?
Not
Not
removed.
remove as a group. Well, I got 3-2, so I'm gonna go with the majority. So my suggestion is that we take both the 65,000 or what would then result when we take the 65,000 that were allotted to those, the 66,000, which was underspent on the top part or underdistributed on the top part, which is $131,553. And we distribute it to the tier 1. My calculations show that if we can't give everybody 100% in the top part without going over $153,000.
131,000.
But $21,000. But we could distribute, if we took 45, if we split it so that each of the recipients received 45% of their asked for amount, the difference, we would then end up with 113,396, or we'd end up with the amount, $33,000 under.
Okay, I got lost in that. I'm probably.
Yeah, I know you
Yeah.
did. If we take all of the money and make up the difference to give everybody 100% in
Tier 1.
tier 1, it would add up to $1,269,973, which is
Okay,
$21,000 more than we have to spend, according to my calculations.
Mr. Caius, may
But
I,
if we,
may I make just a, I'm obviously I have
so,
no vote on this committee at
Yeah.
all. But we have heard on the board level, the need for food. I'm following up on
mhm,
Mr. Berman, and certainly the need for mental health issues. I'm trying to see, and I have the wrong glasses on. But if there's any of those organizations with this wonderful chart that has been created that that supply food, and I think there's 2 food banks, the food bank in the Greater Elgin and Hesed House. And I don't know of anybody else up there that provides mental health. Perhaps they should be funded at 100% capacity first, if appropriate, so that they can complete their project. An AID, because we keep on hearing consistently, and people have come to visit us from the food pantries for the critical need. Just my thought.
thank you.
Mr. Caius, this is Scott.
Yes.
we have noticed and seen that those types of agencies have received a great deal of funding as a result of the pandemic under the CARES Act and the American Recovery Plan Act. So while those are certainly needs that need to be addressed, we've seen that those agencies have received tremendous amounts of federal funding in the last 3 years.
Okay.
Mr.
I'm
Caius?
going to ask Mr. Dahl to do a couple of calculations. Can you create another column for us, Mr. Dahl?
Well, actually, Tracy is working on that
Oh,
spread
Tracy. Tracy,
sheet. So
create another column for us. Over to the right somewhere. Let's put it in. And we'll call it the difference between 100% and what was allotted. And don't worry about spelling too much.
now that's different than what you have there already as percentage of request.
I'm sorry.
Well, if you look on the blue, there is a percentage of requests. That's how much right now we are allotting percentage wise for each of these.
Far right.
Right. So we're going to
Want to see
take,
the difference, right? You want to see what they're.
yeah, I want to see
The
what
dollar
difference-
difference?
The
The
dollar
dollar-
difference. Yeah.
Okay,
Don't do that. We're not
okay.
worried about the percentage now. So
Okay.
you will add, you will take the column H minus column Q.
You got it.
Yeah, Tracy's on it.
Oh,
She's
there you go.
fast.
See? And the one
She's-
that, and you'll see that the difference is right there. You can see that the item down there, the Hess, who was it that got the 100% right off the bat?
It's towards the bottom there.
Mutual Ground, which was a
Mutual
small
Ground, yeah.
ask. Yeah, Mutual Ground.
That's another one.
Mhm.
Rather than cherry pick all the way through this thing, then if we go back to our column on the right-hand side,
New column?
yeah. You can actually, you can scrunch up those.
Are you looking for a total of the amount that has been underfunded by
Right.
the polling? Okay. Tracy, can you total up the column S?
Mr. Chairman,
Mm-hmm.
I know we voted on, but it was just in my mind that on the APS, this program actually takes in consider, what they do is they teach younger kids at a younger age technology so that those who are unable possibly in the future to go to college can have this opportunity to learn about technology to get into the workforce. And they start as young as 8 years old until, high school. So that may be something to take in consideration for that program.
Okay, I'll go back. Then, do we want to treat this as a formula to give the money at the top? Or do we want to go through each one of these and try and, as a committee?
I like the formula.
Mr. Leonard?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, looking at the additional difference, if we allocate everybody to 100%,
Mm-hmm.
that's 284,000 and change. We've got 131,000. So we're 150,000 over now. So I don't think
So we
that
can't do that.
formula works.
No, it doesn't work. If we give them, everyone 45% of the difference. So if you created the next column over. Just put 45% in there. And then multiply, go down and create a formula plus 10,000 times 0.4. Maybe I shouldn't have worked with this in the middle of the night. I apologize.
There we go.
It made sense, the formula to me.
See, then we're within 5,000,
Right, right. So then we're within,
5,000.
I got 3,445. But. Three, four, four, 520.
Okay.
If we were to apply this formula, then I'm just gonna shoot this to you rather than go through each one of them and drag this thing out a lot. And I understand where you're at on the some of these allocations, because I think they're what we really have is a lot of them that are very worthwhile.
Yeah.
For some reason, this year, the committee didn't go with as much for the APS. Now, last year we funded them
Right.
considerably.
But we keep talking about our workforce, and
Right.
we need to do all we can to support our workforce. So this is like defeating the purpose of wanting to do economic development initiative. It goes against what our future plans are.
Okay. But we do have just a short amount of money to do that. Then my suggestion is then we go from this base point, all of these people, this, we have a balanced budget on that formula there. Do we want to, do we then present, I appreciate your case. Is there something we want to lower out of the remainder of that rather than going each and every one and apply it to the APS?
Mr. Kai's question.
That makes sense? Yes, Ms. Strathman.
So under column T, instead of getting the amount under column S, they would get the amount under column T.
That's correct.
Okay, so then,
Well, let's see.
What's the total?
Actually, what's the total? You actually,
No, you get-
some column T
no, I mean, in addition to what we awarded them.
and yeah,
Is that
there we
correct?
go. Here we go. We're
Just to be clear, column T represents, I believe, the amount of additional funding
gonna-
that
Right.
you're
Instead of-
considering providing each applicant.
And we'll have
Mhm.
that in this last column, what each one is gonna get.
So instead of S
Yes.
being 100%, T is 45% additional to what we awarded them in our round two. Is that correct?
So give us a sum on that column.
Tracy's doing that right now. So I believe this gives
There
you
we go.
a figure that is just shy of the amount that you
Right,
budgeted
the
at the beginning
3,000.
of the year.
So if we want to make it really quick and simple, we do this formula. That's it. We are in there. We've taken tier one, what most of us have agreed to are the most important to the group as a whole. Again, this is not a perfect situation. It just becomes very formulaic, and it eliminates a lot of the decisions of back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Now,
Round it up to the closest dollar.
You don't want to give them 80 cents.
did the two digits bother you there, Dale? Yeah, if you want to, yeah, you can cut that percentage down or that down if you want to.
0.02.
So just, yeah,
I'm glad to get that today.
formula is good in that it just says
Oh, man.
It's good and
Ig-
bad.
yeah, ignore the two digits on the right.
Yeah.
It's still $94,000. So we go down those, individual development, AID would get, is it? Can you do a dollar? You should be able to just change the format of dollars without cents and then it'll take away a couple digit points and see what happens.
Blessing.
Yeah, Tracy just rounded the figures for you.
Oh, they're all rounded? Okay,
Yeah.
great. There's still zeros in there, but
What's the total?
we gotta keep it, we gotta keep it simple for this board here. Okay, so,
I can go ahead. I can go ahead.
so,
got it?
if we start at the top, you'll have to scroll up a little bit. See, there we go.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, yeah.
AID would get 94,000. And, oh, you can, if you want to, put a, can you take the, 94 in the next column over, Tracy? Up at the top there, next column over in that, start this column as a percentage of total. of
What?
total request. A percentage of total request,
Oh, I
just,
see. Okay.
yeah. Percent is fine.
So you're looking for a figure
So
that
you'll-
represents the percentage
will-
of the amount
you will-
requested by each
You will
applicant?
add column U and divide it by whatever the column is that has the total amount in there.
Why do we need to do that?
Divided by N.
He must take drugs in the middle of the night when he does this.
Late at night.
No, you should get some sleep.
Get some sleep. Well, we only got these yesterday, so I was trying to figure out a way that made sense, because when we start talking about, so they're gonna, well, that's a better figure rather than what the dollar figure is. This is the percentage that each of those would receive. Therefore, you're as low as, see what my table says,
85%.
47.
It looks like 80% might be the lowest figure I see.
Right, we would be giving 80%.
44. now.
Yeah,
What's the total?
No, there's one that's 69.
Yeah,
What's the
60.
total?
Yeah, 69. Yeah.
the total percent.
No, the total dollar amount.
It's still $3,000 less than
right.
our, what we have budgeted
Yeah.
to spend. So we're not,
Okay.
we've agreed
Go there.
by the majority that we want to spend as much as close as we can, but that did not go over. We've agreed that we'll take, again, by majority, that we'll take the amounts and put from tier 2 into that fund up there. Then this is just a calculation is how we'll divide that up.
And what's the total on the bottom then?
So what do we do with the other 3,000 that's left over?
It goes back into the fund, makes Bill happy.
Okay, all right.
It's
okay.
Not really happy because it's not a lot of money, but it isn't over a million. Ms.
We-
Strathman.
Now we can vote on this and go.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. But let's, Ms. Strathman, yes.
This is my third time to sit on this. And I've learned from Mr. Leonard about the extension and their matching funds.
Mhm.
And what I learned this year is that they get not only matching funds from the state, but also the federal. So what we allot them is the template for what they get from other places. So if we put them, make the numbers easy for me, if they ask for 100,000 and we give them 75, that means their budget goes down 75,000 because it's depleted from each of the other persons that by that much. So I would like to propose that we take that extra 3,000 and apply it to the extension. I handed out a sheet to you with the number of volunteer hours, the number of places in the community that the extension has reached, and their value of volunteer time in the community is $1,201,000. And I think that's something to be commended. And they also have a nutrition and wellness program, and they also donated over 2,000 pounds of fresh food to the,
All worthy causes.
Very
I
worthy,
hate
very
cutting out
worthy.
any of these people.
and
We'll be, without doing that, just let me point out, without doing that, we will still be giving them 85% of their allotment
Yeah.
with this formula.
I understand that,
So,
but I'm saying
no,
because we do have a little bit extra, I wouldn't mind going a little bit higher on them
Okay.
for that
let's-
reason.
Let's assume that let's say we accept the formula, not that this is the finish, that we're going to submit this. Let's accept that this is the formulaic outcome that we're going to have. So we're 300,000 or $3,000 under, and everybody in tier 1 gets anywhere from,
69 to
yeah,
100.
yeah. And a lot of that's, let's see, I got a 40, no, that's not the right column. Sorry. I got a lot of columns here. 69, you're right. I hate to agree with you, Bill, but 69% and then up to 100%, again, was mutual ground, but it was a very small. So that would be the formula. Do we accept that that would be the formula is the way to go? Just to adopt that. And then if we wanted, well, I'm not sure we're actually amending and or doing anything like that.
Well,
This-
it's just.
Yeah, but you're right. Let's accept that this is the formula. Let's work from this point on. So now, is there any changes that you would like to have in this formula? Otherwise, we're going home. And then Ms. Strathman's was that we take the $3,000 and give it to the
Extension.
extension service, and they would get that. And then that would be, we're even
We're done.
steel and we're done, we go home. Any other comments that they could take away from somebody and add to anybody else? Okay,
Yes.
Let's vote on that.
okay. Unless Mr., I see, I forgot that Drew was in the background there, but we won't talk him out of anything. He's in there. He's getting 80% of his thing. So
He wants to farm.
So
right.
he gets 87%.
So you want the formula approved with one
One,
addition
with one exception, you're right.
to the extension for the 3,000
For the-
whatever dollars.
Yeah.
Be getting just slightly more.
Then we funded 100% of it too. So. Of
Well,
our,
Yeah, we've actually given out 100% of what we had intended, what we had allocated to us to distribute.
I'm for that.
Okay,
I am too.
all right. And then, so you're for that, you're for that. Mr. Berman is for that.
Now do we need to
Dale,
do
are
it?
you for that?
Well,
Okay.
So now we.
yes and no, because we've now got, I would be for that. And then we've got 4 people for it.
So now we need to do official vote so we can
Right.
make it official.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
And I apologize for the
Let's
thing.
move forward.
What, as you know, when we go into the other meetings, because this passed through the board, there is a chance to change this. If you want, just ask Miss Allen, she'll help.
Yes. Right.
Is Miss Allen
Amen.
on? So
She's gonna watch this, you know that, right?
we're in trouble now. Okay, yeah, because I think I said I hate being second guessed.
Yeah, all right.
So then I'm getting, if you're okay with this, Mr. Ford, I'm getting a unanimous nodding here. Do we need to vote on this formally, Mr. Berger?
Yes, we would recommend that you take a formal motion, a second, and a roll call vote.
Okay, then I will accept a motion to accept the formula with the one modification for $3,000 through the extension service. Is there a motion?
Second that.
Well, Bill is,
You're
I'm just
moving?
accepting it. You are moving.
I'll
I'm the
move it.
chair. Strathman will second. So Leonard moves, Strathman seconds. Is there any other discussion about this?
No.
This is your chance to get in here, Mr. Ford, and get the money back. No, sorry. Then hearing none, roll call, please.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Berman,
Herman, yes.
Ford.
All right, I serve on the board of Boys and Girls Club, but not the one from Elgin. I'm in the Aurora, but regardless, I'll still sustain from that part and vote yes.
And mine's
Okay.
Dundee, so we're both out.
Yeah.
All right.
What's that all about? Well, you got money a couple years back or something. Okay, so
Leonard
Yes.
and Strathman.
Yes.
The ayes
Okay.
have it.
Motion for adjournment.
that's a vote. Then,
Oh.
Mr. Berger, is there anything else that we need to deal with? Or Mr. Dahl?
Not today. We will prepare a resolution for the next executive committee meeting. And that will, assuming it passes executive, will go on to the full board for approval.
Okay. And I apologize, Drew. You sit out in the audience. Did you have something you want to say to the board, the committee? We're only giving you 87%. Sorry, man. Yeah, I apologize.
He just misses us.
It wasn't on the agenda. We should have public comment on this.
I move to
No.
adjourn.
Yes, move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Berman, Leonard second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
I.
Your cooperation. And I-
I moved that on these days, the county should supply lunch.
Not my fault.